Hey friends, if you love photography and like to sell your photos and videos online, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon and turn on all the notifications so that you never miss any video guides from the Teaching Doc channel. And here I come. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Arindam and you are watching the Teaching Doc. And in this video, I'll be telling you 8 tips how you can edit your photos so that they will pass the stock photography review inspection. Now for those who are interested in stock photography, you must have seen my channel or you must have read any article that you can earn by uploading your photos and selling your photos, and for that you need to learn proper photography, number one, and proper editing, right? In the past there were few agencies and you might have tried your luck that you have uploaded your photos, or even if you are a beginner, you are uploading your photos and they are getting rejected because they are not up to the quality standards. But nowadays there are multiple stock photography agencies that are coming up so that they actually attracts photos. They will accept almost any photos and you can build up your image gallery very quickly. But remember, it's the proper edited stock photographs that actually attracts the clients. So no matter you can have 3000 4000 photos in portfolio, but in reality only a few hundreds of them will sell over and over again. Okay, that's the basic ground reality that has been happening to me as well. Some of my photos are getting sold over and over again and most others are simply sitting in the bench. That will also happen for you, and for that it's important that you edit each and every photo with a minute detail so that they can be the best that you deliver, and that will hugely increase your chance of getting reviewed, getting approved, and then getting sales. Now remember, there are various agencies that will have different rules, that will have their own set of guidelines, and there are few agencies which actually accepts editorial photos while other agencies do not accept editorial photos. I have got many videos that tells you what is commercial, what is editorial, but this video is regarding how to edit a proper photograph for commercial as well as for editorial. So let's begin with the tips. The first tip is about exposure. Very important. It's important during photography and important during editing. More important during photograph, because if you keep your exposure well, right? If the photo is balanced in exposure, then you have to do much less in post-production. What I mean is, if you set your exposure correctly, you will have much difficult time in adjusting later in Photoshop or Lightroom or in any other app, because if your exposure is not right to start with, then adjusting the exposure in post-production or in editing will lead to image artifacts, and then your photos will get rejected for artifacts. So number one tip is always set the exposure right. There might be a wheel in your camera, or there might be slider in your mobile phone. The most important thing that you need to keep in mind is set the proper exposure while clicking a photo. And during editing, how will you know that your photos are well exposed? Well, you should look at what is called a histogram. If most of the curve goes towards the left, it means your photo is underexposed, and if most of the graphs go towards the right, it will mean overexposed. So you should have a balanced exposure in your photograph, and that will lead to a maximum attention going towards your photo in the stock photography agency thumbnails. And one important thing regarding dealing with proper exposure is preferably always shoot in RAW mode, because it's in RAW mode that you can use the full dynamic range of your sensor, and even if you can you are making a photo underexposed, you can bring up the exposure. Even if some areas are overexposed, you can bring down the exposure. But in general, they will lead to artifact even if you click RAW. So golden rule, set the exposure right, click a photo in RAW, then adjust minimally in post. The next point is clean the noise up. Always zoom to 100% and then use the noise removal slider in your photo editor app, and then make sure remove all the grains before uploading a photo. One of the most common reasons why a stock photograph is rejected is due to noise. Now modern cameras have got very high ISO capabilities, but for strictly stock photography reasons, even if you have got a full frame camera, I will never recommend you to go above 800 ISO. I know camera companies give crazy high numbers, and cropped sensor cameras or even mobile phones have got very good noise reduction in camera. But if you are clicking in RAW, your RAW photos will have noise, and if you try to remove noise, they will get some artifacts. So my tip is shoot in low ISO, use proper lighting, don't go above 800 ISO, and even if you cannot avoid clicking in high ISO, always make sure you zoom to 100%, clean all the noises that are there in the photo and then upload. So number 1, set the proper exposure right. Number 2, properly remove all the noise before uploading a photo. Number 3, remove chromatic aberration, one of the most underrated or overlooked areas why a photo will get rejected. Websites will say technical error or we cannot accept this. They will not give you any reason, but there are chromatic aberration that is present in your image. Chromatic aberration happens when there is a subject of high contrast, means you have got extremely white areas, extremely lighted areas and extremely dark areas. So there are borders. Right now my hair, okay, this area and that area, the background is in high contrast. So if you click a photo like that, if you zoom into 100%, there will be some purple lines or green lines, those are also known as fringing. Most modern cameras nowadays have got in-camera correction of chromatic aberration if you convert the raw image to JPEG image. But if you are taking photos in RAW, which is the most recommended and which I am saying over and over again, there will be chromatic aberration in landscape photos or in photos where you make white background if you click in light box. So chromatic aberration should be absolutely removed by zooming into 100%. Softwares can do it. You can manually learn how to remove chromatic aberration, but that is a must. So exposure right, remove noise, remove chromatic aberration before uploading your photos. Number 4, there might not be all these things. You might take a good exposure photo, you might remove all the noises, you might even take care of chromatic aberration, but something which is not under your control are sensor dust. Yes, over time, if you have a brand new camera, it will give crystal clear photos. But if you have got an old DSLR or you might have changed lenses in the field, whenever you take a photo with very narrow aperture f8, f10, then the sensor spots will start to appear in your photograph, especially in white background, skies, there will be spots. It's absolutely mandatory to remove all those sensor spots. You can easily do it by clone stamp tool, you can easily do it by patch tool. If a reviewer finds sensor dust, immediately your photos will be rejected, and mind it, even if they are accidentally accepted, they will never sell. I have many photographs, maybe reviewer sir didn't look that well. I could see that there are sensor dust in the photos, approved photos, but I can say from my experience they have never sold. Maybe there are some other factors, but from my experience I can tell you, if you don't remove sensor dust, your images will not do any good. So exposure, noise, chromatic aberration, and remove sensor dust by cloning them out using clone stamp tool or patch tool. In this regard, I will also add that any other blemishes or spots should also be removed. For example, if you are taking any food photograph and any smudge is there in your dish, if you are taking photo of any subject, a human subject, there are spots in the dress or there may be marks in the skin, it's advisable that you also retouch them and remove those spots and blemishes before uploading. Next, let us look at a composition part of your photo. No matter how you take your photo, right, generally we don't upload just like that. We always do some degree of cropping or aligning the photo. It's very important your horizon line should be aligned properly. If you are taking any interior photo, it's important that the lines that are vertical should remain vertical, the lines that are horizontal should look horizontal. So use your plane of reference, align the photos properly, make sure horizontals and verticals are in proper perspective. Horizon line should be straight. Now there are multiple softwares that actually will do it for you. Automatic aligning, automatic horizon correction, use those features. If you are using latest software, use them, or even if you are not using any latest software, they are very easy to correct. Properly cropping a photo will give much attention on the subject, and that is one of the most vital reason that differentiates a beginner from an advanced stock photographer who actually knows what to crop, how to crop and what to crop. Another very important point regarding clicking a photo is white balance, right? Not all of us shoots in studio, right? In studio, when we shoot in studio, we use a white balance tool. Generally, there is a white card, you can adjust your whites and blacks according to that. But while you are out in the field, you may have different sort of lighting, right? You may have a cloudy day, you may have an overcast day, or you may be under neon lights that are known as incandescent lights. Generally, your camera nowadays or even mobile phones does a very good job when the white balance is set to auto, but often they miss, and if they miss, the colors will be messed up all over. The skins may look green or it may have a tinge of magenta and it may not look proper to you. I have made a video, use a proper color calibrated monitor, right? Those are not in photo editing tips, but you can use that video even if you don't have a color calibrated monitor. You can use this technique to maintain or to make sure that you are seeing the proper colors in your monitor. Once you see the colors properly, you should be able to see the white as white and the black as black, right? If you do that, you should always adjust your white balance so that the skin tones look normal, so that the greens look green, and for that you need to have an idea about proper white balance and Kelvin. But there's nothing to worry, as I have told you over and over again, if you take the photo in raw, you can adjust the white balance as you want. So for white balance, I think clicking in raw mode is the best you have, the best tool that will help you set your white balance to a proper desired value so that all the tones look proper, and then you will guarantee that your photo will be accepted, approved and sold. Regarding this, I will give you one small tip while adjusting the white balance. There is a small tool called the eyedropper tool. It looks like a dropper. You can drop that tool to an area that looks much more warm or cool than what it was supposed to be, and then you can adjust your sliders accordingly. Next, remove all copyrighted items from your photo. By remove, I mean while clicking a photo, you should be aware and alert that nothing with any brand or logo or any known design is coming while you are composing a photo. Even if you have composed a photo properly, you should be absolutely sure to clone out all those areas, visible brands, visible logos from your photos, right? For human individuals, you always need a model release if you are clicking a person with a known face, but I am not talking about that. I am talking about, suppose I am wearing this suit, right? If it's written Raymond over there, then that photo will never be accepted as a commercial stock photo. So any brand, any logo, any pattern, any tattoo, always make sure you remove them from your photos. Just present a logoless non-branded photo and your photos will be absolutely accepted and sold by other clients who will put their brands in your photo, and then they will sell those photos. You know, some of these articles actually remain in plain sight, but we fail to identify them. By zooming 100%, you need to scan from corner to corner, and then you will be able to easily see. Most overlooked brand names are the ones that are found in buttons, pens, clips, or even in shoes, phones, or any sort of artwork that almost remains in plain sight. We will not be able to see them unless you zoom very large to 100%. If you zoom, if you scan from corner to corner, then you will be easily able to find them. Make sure you clone out to remove all the brands to ensure proper approval and sales. Lastly, what if you cannot remove the brand? Maybe the brand is in such a location that you cannot clone it. Maybe you are not skilled enough to remove those brandings, or maybe the branding in such an edge that will create an ugly looking artifact in the image. For all of them, you have an option to upload them as editorial image, right? But there comes our next point, that is uploading and editing for editorial photos. Over there, you cannot do any change. Any major change, I mean. You cannot remove all those artifacts, you cannot remove blemishes, you cannot digitally reshape a model. Yes, you can just make the alignment proper, you can crop a bit, you can correct the contrast, you can correct the white balance, but remember, you cannot correct any colors, you cannot add any artificial sky, or you cannot add any other elements. An editorial photo should be uploaded as it normally appears in the scene. Remember, editing well makes a photo looks gorgeous, but if you are uploading them as editorial, viewers will immediately reject your photos. So editing for editorial should be much less minimal. Various agencies have got their various own guidelines for editorial, but most of the agencies usually stick to this thing only, that any alteration is contently not allowed other than censored dust. So if there are censored spots, definitely you should clone them, otherwise it's a bad technical image. But other than that, even if they don't allow correction of a contrast, because a dull looking news venue may look very gorgeous if you push the contrast buttons very high, right? Contrast sliders. So generally remove censored dust, but minimally retouch the photo if you want to upload them as editorial. So to conclude, these were the various points. I believe that you will learn over time. The statistics of rejected photos to start with, it's much worse compared to as you build up your portfolio, as more and more photos start to get accepted. You will know yourself what are your errors. And even if you missed something, I hope you find this video useful. So if you find this video useful, please hit the like button, please share this with your friends, photographers and cousins who love photography, and please subscribe to my channel because that helps me, motivates me to make all this type of free videos for you guys. Now time for quote of the day. If you're watching this video till now, please type tips in the comment section and I will know that you have not skipped this video after a minute. So guys, feel free to get back to me in the comment section. I thank you all for watching. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance, and I'll see you soon with another video. Till then, bye and take care.